It's funny. This guy used to be such a leftist, but in the last couple of years, he's literally woke up from the wokeness. I don't know how the left loves their terms that they think they're woke. But anyways, he's interviewing Jordan Peterson, and I admire Jordan Peterson. I like his points of view. I'm starting to like this guy more. That he's becoming less of a leftist, but he's about to ask him a question, and I think it's a pretty good question. So let's hear it.
Is it's this person that they think they should be on our side,
right,
Canadian academic.
I know. How much more milk toast can you possibly get than a Canadian
milk
professor?
toast, but liberal and erudite and sophisticated.
He's talking about Jordan Peterson should be on
and yet he's not
their side because he's Canadian
and come on, the crazy train
and a professor,
Hey, so
but he's not a leftist.
asked like 40 Democrat senators and congressmen and Robert F. Kennedy.
Here's the question.
Recently. This question. It's a very hard question, and I don't ask it just, to cause trouble. I'm actually curious.
I am ready.
When do you think the left goes too far?
May I use my lifeline?
Yeah, absolutely. Call the people who know.
Okay. What? I mean, you mean they haven't already?
Well, but how do you know? Like, what's a
How do you know when a leftist has gone too far? That's the question. So how do you know? What's the signs? What's the things that are a sign that it's obvious leftists have gone too far? Well, a true liberal respects everybody's rights. So when the left is no longer liberal, they're not respecting people's rights equally. I think that's the answer. It's when they're hypocrites and they're not respecting people's rights equally, that they can justify violating people's rights. That we are seeing hypocrisy on a large scale, that they can justify violating somebody's right to speak because they don't like what they say. They can violate someone's rights to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness in their cancel culture because they don't like what the person has to say or do, or they don't like the person in general. So I think the true warning sign that a person's no longer a true liberal, that the left has gone too far, is when they're talking about equity, but to justify violating people's equal rights, which would be equal right of access. For example, affirmative action, that they justified violating the rights of whites and Asians to have equity for Black Americans in college, which has been ruled unconstitutional because it violates the rights of Asians and whites, that it's not equal access. So they're justifying the violation of rights. That's when they've gone too far. Let's hear what they have to say real quick.
When Trump gets reelected, that's when you know.
So he's definitely not a Trump supporter.
On the left, it's unacceptable from the perspective of someone who's essentially liberal.
How long have you got? I mean, the theme I've been trying to promulgate as much as I can the last 5 years, partly just in self-defense of people who say I've changed, I have not, is that wokeness is not something that expands on liberalism. It's something that undoes it. And I think you are on the same page generally. I mean, to give a few examples, color blindness. wanting to have a colorblind society where we don't see race is classic liberalism. Certainly what Obama was going for. That's not wokeism. Wokeism is race is front and center to everything.
Yeah, so that's part of that.
So-
So that, to me, that's an extension of the insistence that
Liberalism,
someone's
treating
primary
people
identity
equally.
is
Right.
signified by their group.
Right.
When they're
Whatever-
no longer
whatever
treating
was
people
exactly
equal,
what
that's too
old
far.
school liberals were fighting against. Don't characterize somebody by that. Okay, so they completely invert it, and then they get mad.
All right, 6 minutes. I'm
us
cutting it off,
for
which
somehow
gives us
we're
about
conservative.
25
No, we're not
seconds.
conservatives. You're just not what liberals are. You're doing a different thing, which is fine. We're all allowed to do our thing, but you can't do this whole different thing and then take the term that used to apply but doesn't apply anymore. I mean, there's many colleges that have segregated dorms. Okay, again, you do
And
you.
graduation
And, yes, you do you, but this
All
is
right.
not liberalism.
I'll put a
Okay.
link in the video. You can watch the whole
Certainly
thing.
in the realm
But
of
it's
gender,
at 6
I mean,
minutes, so I'm going to say good morning, good night, depending on what time it is and where you're at in the world.
Tolerance for let's celebrate and allow everyone to be protected and respected for who they are. That includes homosexuality, that includes trans, which of course is a real thing that happened. That's different than rewriting
Sorry, I like that point.
anatomy book from page 1 so that every kid who comes out is